So you're thinking about relocating to the Pacific Northwest, you're absolutely gonna love this video. Today we're doing something special. We're gonna give you local insight to one of the hottest suburbs in the Portland metro. So today's video is gonna be a full map tour, and we're gonna review hottest spots, parks, different areas within the city, and local knowledge of this suburb. I was born and raised in not only this town, but one right next to it. So I know these streets like the back of my hand. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so in today's video, we're gonna roll through a map walkthrough of Lake Oswego. So I always like to start explaining areas with an anchor point, just so you have some sort of idea. Now, we are helping people relocate from all across America. We absolutely love it, but we also understand you don't frequent Portland all the time. So right here on the map share where it says Portland is the heart of downtown. This is going to be the waterfront, the business district, all the festivals, jazz festival, beer festival. This is right where this is. So when you're logging on Google Maps and you see that big Portland, that's the center of the city. I always like to point out the airport too. Most people are flying in. You got a 20 to 35 minute drive from Portland into downtown. Now, today we're going over Lake Oswego. I grew up in Lake Oswego all the way up to about 6th to 7th grade. So I do really know Lake Oswego well. After LO, we went down to West Lynn, which I'm going to do a whole nother video on, but I'm excited to share a couple of tips from a local's perspective about this town. I think opening up with the Lake Oswego tour are two artery roads, one being Highway 43 and one being I-5. And just to zoom out one more time, you can see I-5 connects all the way down here, and then you take Cruise Way over to Lake Oswego on the west side of the lake. Your other option would be Highway 43, which is a more direct route. However, the speed limit is much lower. I-5, you're going to see 50 to 60 mile per hour traffic. Highway 43, you're going to see 30 to 45. So usually they're about the same if there's no traffic. However, I-5 is going to be absolutely jammed up during commuting hours. So that's something to be mindful of. Lastly, 205 on the far right side here, I'll zoom out again, is going to be your primary connector from the airport. So if you're landing for a flight and making it back home, you're going to take 205 all the way down to West Lynn and cut in that way. There are a couple different routes, but those are the primary three. Now, as I'm zooming in, I think it's important to know a couple of key indicators. Number one is Tryon, that's a tongue twister, Creek State National Area. This is a very cool hiking area, massive amounts of trails. You are going to see forests for days. So a lot of people that are like Iron men or women, they're coming up here, they're going to do their trail runs, and just look at the beauty here. You are very close to all these parks and trails. Now, you cannot necessarily walk there. You could bicycle, but there is a massive incline of elevation that's required to get to the top of it. So most people are going to drive up here, park in the trailhead, and enjoy that area. Had to point that out because a lot of people want to be close to nature, not necessarily the lake, but they want to be in the forest, and that's going to be your closest area. The most understood area in Lake Oswego is probably here on the west side where you see Lakewood Bay. Nobody really calls it Lakewood Bay, but this is where the charming downtown area is. As you can see, this part of it is all gridded out. When I was growing up, I worked at Oswego Lake Country Club, which is right here. And we would get off shift from caddying or working in the bag room, and we'd ride our bikes all the way down here and go and grab lunch. Back 30 years ago, none of this retail area was here, and it's been turned into a really cool little spot. I threw it up here on the street map. This is the view of the lake, and if I turn this around, this is somewhat of the gives you a perspective of what the architecture looks like. So these are all shops and restaurants. This looks like it's done in the middle of the winter, but all of this paved area turns into art festival, Saturday market. You can grab fresh produce, beer sampling, cider sampling. So you're walking all around here and enjoying this lake view, and you're enjoying local amenities. Additionally, you've got the Lake Theater. I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see it on the map. You've got the Lake Theater and Restaurant. I don't know why it's not showing up, but it's right here. And I'm pointing at that. So you can sit on the patio in the summer, have a beer, have happy hour, and be looking out on this lake. As you might be able to see in this photo are, I'll try to zoom in. I know that's really not great resolution, but that is a dock. So some of the most top headlining drama in Lake Oswego right now is public access versus private access. So there's been a long-standing legal battle since the state actually owns and manages the actual lake, and it's been deemed that they're going to create more public access for residents and visitors. So this is going to be revamped in the near future for public access. Currently, the nearest public access is going to be closer over here, which you can see this like inlet area. There's a public park that you can go down, and it's managed by the city, and there's lifeguards, and you can swim. Outside of that, it's really challenging to get dock access for like a boat, but unless you own the slip or live right on the area. Future improvements are in the works. Backing up, and I'm going to get back to that before, but I do want to share a park that does have public access more to the Willamette River area is George Rogers Park. So George Rogers Park is really, really awesome. So I grew up playing baseball here at George Rogers. There's a couple different fields, and then there's, as you can see, George Rogers athletic fields, and you can get down here right onto the river access. Now I'm gonna see if I can get you video. Okay, fantastic. So as you can see back there, that's Willamette River, and this is the parking area for George Rogers Park. Oh, this is kind of a cool view. My one tip and trick for George Rogers is there's really only like 12 parking spots there. So you're going to want to make sure that you park. So this is your parking area all right here. A little bit challenging in the summer months to actually park, but the tip is to choose up here on Ladd Street or Durham. Any of these you can park and then walk down. So if you're the family that's got a cooler and 1,000 lawn chair or beach stuff, you're going to want to drop it off, have the husband go up and park down here, leave the kids and the wife. They can get camp set up. But all of this over here is public access that you can hang out and enjoy the sunshine in the river. A lot of people will kayak and enjoy it. My only tip there is don't really drink the water. It isn't a health issue right now, but you don't want to be in there drinking gallons of water. Just dip your toes in and enjoy the sunshine. Another thing not a lot of people know is you can see a little bridge right here. So you can actually take this walking trail really, really, really far down Willamette, which is awesome. Bring your bike, your scooter, or just walk. And that's one of my favorite parts of the area is you can actually utilize miles and miles and miles all the way back up to Portland, and be all across the Willamette River. So that is a really cool part about George Rogers Park, is getting down there and utilizing the local walking trails. Now let's get back over to the cute downtown area of Lake Oswego that I was referencing before. You've got a lot of restaurants all across this area. Whole Foods Market is right here for your grocery shopping. And it's just a really cool spot for the weekend or Friday night. Back up to where the Saturday market was, they call it Millennium Plaza Park. I don't think I've ever heard anyone reference that. But the charm continues here through super cool Salt and Straw, Bamboo Sushi, Holy Taco. You've got so many different options that people just fall in love with this area. Let me see if I can try to get back onto the street view here. Here we go. Now we're back into looking at what this area is. There's the Holy Taco I referenced before, but look how charming this is. You just have all newer construction, really cute little shopping areas. And remember, when I was growing up, this was a field with a grocery store called Weiser's. We were cutting through this in ankle-high grass and just mopping through it. Now it's just total charm. I'd mentioned Salt and Straw, which is up here on the corner. That's right here. Salt and Straw is like a super big national brand, which started here locally in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to give you one trick. Salt and Straw is awesome, and you can do it as you visit. But this ice cream shop right here, the blue one, I believe it's called Lake Oswego Ice Creamery. It used to be called Tillamook Ice Cream. This is where I would go for ice cream and a burger. It's just across the street, half the price. I think it's better. You can disagree with me if you want. Let me know if you've had Salt and Straw and you can compare it to LO Ice Creamery. Check that out. I would love to know your opinion. But look at the charm of this, guys. Super cool, amazing little area. Everybody loves this little part of Lake Oswego. And this has kind of been the epicenter of what makes Lake Oswego lifestyle. Okay, so now, just to give you another anchor point, this was the Holy Taco in the great, charming little downtown area. This was the George Rogers Park we reviewed. Now, let's kind of dive in a little bit more into the residential pieces. So first and foremost, I think what's important to understand about Lake Oswego is that there's the north part of the lake, as you can see, Oswego Lake Country Club. This is all the north part of the lake, and then this is all the south part of the lake. So North Lake Oswego is locally known more as the old money area, and then the south end of the lake is a little more new money. Don't get me wrong, amazing homes. All of them are highly sought after, but I think it's good to know that there's north and south. Now, north is where a majority of your kids are going to go to Lake Oswego High School. South is where the kids are going to primarily go to Lake Ridge High School. So if you're ever wondering, hey, where are my kids going to go? Well, if you're on the south end of the lake and you're looking at a home there, they go to Lake Ridge. If you're on the north end, they would be going to Lake Oswego High School. Now, I went to the school district on the south end. My mother actually graduated from Lake Ridge. Very great schools. Both are fully renovated, super awesome schools, like just incredible. They look like small colleges. The arts, science, math, and sports are hyper competitive. They're back and forth on top, 1 to 5th ranked of almost everything in the entire state. I just wanted to break down what north and south was, because there is kind of a vibe to it either way. Now, Oswego Lake Country Club is an incredible country club. It spans all across the north end. Very old, traditional layout of a course, target golf, massive trees, dog legs. Great country club. I grew up caddying there almost up to my senior year of high school, and absolutely loved it. So if you want to join a country club and that's a big thing, I think the initial membership ranges between 30 and 60,000, and I don't remember what the dues are, probably like 600 to 1200 per month. But holler at me if you want to talk golf. I can talk about all the country clubs all through the area. I've played in almost every single golf course in the Portland and Southwest Washington area. Do want to transition though back into a couple different suburbial spots. So a lot of people that I see and we help, they find listings that are in Lake Oswego from an address standpoint, but not really Lake Oswego. So my first point out area is going to be down here as we go down 43 and you connect to Merrillhurst. Merrillhurst is the starting point of Westland, and it really creates the border of Lake Oswego and Westland. So you'll see a lot of homes in this area right here. I'm trying to make a circle with my mouse. Though you've got the address of Lake Oswego, it's not really Lake Oswego when it comes to the lifestyle of the amenities. You're just stretched out. You're not really close to the lake. There'd be a lot of challenges of getting your kid to Lake Ridge High School or Ella High School, depending on where they went. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that Lake Oswego. I just bring that up because I see the Lake Oswego price tag in more of a Westland area. And that's something we can chat through on your Zoom call or your phone call about the other areas. I also see a lot of Lake Oswego up in this Cruise Way, Westlake area, close over to I-5. You'll see listings that have a Lake Oswego address, but as you can see, you're far from like the heart and the pulse of Lake Oswego, but people want the address and they pay that price tag. So Westlake's a really unique area. I think there's some cool areas and awesome homes like Mountain Park and Westlake have awesome areas, but it's not what you're thinking Lake Oswego is when we're doing these map tours. I like to point that out. I always lean toward being positive, but transparent at the same time. Now, a popular area that really is this Waluga and Lake Grove area. A lot of new construction popping up here. One thing to just know is Boone's Ferry Road and Cruise Way over here. This is a lot of like commercial buildings and offices, like really nice offices and higher traffic areas. So it's not going to feel as like suburbia, but it might be a nice compromise of price and proximity. This restaurant, by the way, La Provence, is incredible. I highly recommend La Provence. They have multiple locations in the Portland metro, but it's kind of French American food. Really recommend La Provence. If you're going to go to one place in the area, La Provence is awesome. Other inlet areas I would recommend are if you can see the lake coming in. These are super cool, awesome areas. I had some friends that had homes here, like this Blue Heron. They're calling it, no one called it Blue Heron, but I guess that's what it's called. If you have a house on this area, it is so cool because we could hop on a boat and then just take like a 5-mile little putter and you've got the lake right there. It is a really cool spot to live in or know someone that lives in. Now, there's Lake Ridge Middle School. I went to Lake Ridge Middle School and it wasn't called Lake Ridge. It was called Waluga, which was an Indian tribe name, and it's been changed. So they've merged in the schools and now it's called Lake Ridge Middle School. This is a neat area. Bryant Woods is somewhere I grew up playing, as it's all forested here. Now I want to dive into this area here. So technically this is going to be called the River Grove area. As you can see, it spans further away from the lake and actually closer to the Tualatin River and back to the I-5. So this whole area right here is River Grove and Rosewood is going to be your more affordable homes compared to the lakefront and as you get closer to the water. Now, I do want to point out a local thing. As you get closer to the Tualatin River, you're actually going to find homes that are located in a flood zone, because in the mid 90s, Tualatin River actually flooded and hit some of these properties that run between the Tualatin River up to Southwest Childs Road. So if you're seeing like crazy good deals, let's have a conversation about it. Being on the lending side and supporting people getting financing, I am auditing properties all the time that are located in here. Now, it might be a mute point, but we want to run flood insurance quotes for you so you understand what you're going to be obligated for from an insurance standpoint. But being right off the Tualatin River is kind of cool for boat access. Tualatin River is awesome for water skiing, inner tubing, doing all those lake stuff or river stuff, and people love it. The Tualatin River will connect all the way around to the Willamette one way or another, but it is a cool spot to be in. I think that's a great compromise as long as you can find an area that's not in the flood zone. This is the area that I grew up in. Actually, you can see my street there, Dawn Street. And this is a cool one. There was just one rule growing up as a kid, was you weren't allowed to go by yourself on Childs because it was kind of a bleed through street. People drove really fast on it. I think that's important to know. From a community standpoint, Childs Road connects all the way around to Stafford Road and Westland. So as you can see, this is a really big area, but Childs spans all the way over here and connects to Rosemont Ridge, which goes to Westland, or Stafford Road, which goes all the way back down to South Shore, and then the areas we just were talking about with the retail fronts, as well as your George Rogers Park. So that's a real rundown here of what we got going on in Lake Oswego. If you want to dive into these maps any further, let us know. We are helping people all the time with dialing in these areas and specifically to their price, their budget, and their timeline. So you gotta let us know, and we can't wait to hear from you. Hit us a text, an email, visit our website, whatever fashion's easiest for you. We absolutely love being your resource when it comes to relocating to the Pacific Northwest. So if you want to see any of these videos of actual homes, we have multiple Lake Oswego properties, home tours. Check out those videos and let us know what you think and what you want. Can't wait to hear from you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.